Hello and welcome back to What Self-Care Looks Like. I am Brittany Elliott. I am a self-care and mom life management coach. I help working moms create simple, sustainable self-care routines that impact their overall wellness and enrich their lives. And we are in season 12, which is extra special because this is the first season that I've gone video with. So now there's going to be video content available through YouTube, which is really amazing. And the goal for that is to really be able to reach as many mothers as possible. And I know a lot of you hang out on YouTube and really like to engage with video content. So this is for you. And for more of my listeners who really just like to exclusively be listeners, we still have that option available. So let's get into it. In season 11, I talked about self care in a more indirect way. So you heard about goal setting. We had some guests on that talked about nutrition and working out. We also had sex and intimacy, talked about creating vision boards, rules, and the exceptions to them. So it's time to really talk about self care in a more direct way. So, self care is simply the practice of protecting your well being and your happiness. And most people think about self care activities in terms of more lavish or luxury activities. So, spa days, trips, mani pedis. But for working moms, it's very important to have a simple, sustainable self care routine. And self care comes with a mindset shift as well. It's important to adjust your expectations of how self care will ultimately show up in your life. In the final episode of last season, and I'll link to that so you can catch it if you missed it. I talked about a need that I had to be alone. And essentially, I just needed some time to myself, not like a specific me time, but it was just really the need to be with me and my own thoughts in my own space. And there was a time in my motherhood journey that being alone just simply was not an option. So instead of pining for alone time I was incapable of getting, I created a list of practical activities I could do that really brought me joy. And that list included taking a long shower while listening to music or a podcast, reading for 5 to 10 minutes before bed, a short yoga flow, resting in silence, and taking a walk, specifically during my lunch breaks. I didn't realize it at the time, but I was creating a self care routine that was focused around my overall wellness. Your social wellness, physical wellness, spiritual wellness, emotional wellness, and your intellectual wellness are all very important. At the time, I was really just aiming to do something that made me feel good overall, but each activity impacted a specific wellness point. So, short yoga flows, for example, those impacted my physical wellness, but the flow was more of a focused emotional and spiritual wellness activity that helped me feel more connected to myself. So when you have a need for alone time, it's really important to understand why. Specifically, which wellness point is depleted. Do you need alone time for meditation or for prayer so that you can connect with your spiritual wellness? Do you need to organize your thoughts? So you could want alone time for journaling to impact your emotional wellness. Do you feel tight within your body? If so, you may need to take alone time for a walk or to do another physical wellness activity. Do you have a need to be creative? If so, you maybe want to use your alone time to work in one of those adult coloring books, maybe want to take that time to read, and that would be impacting your intellectual wellness. It could also be a combination of these things. But when you have the need to be alone and you don't have the resources to be alone or the lifestyle that lends itself to being alone, you have to be creative. And that's what we're going to talk about. Maybe you can't be alone in your home for a long period of time or leave the house to be alone, but you can be alone in a room for 30 minutes. Can you be alone in that room for only 5 minutes and then find appreciation in that 5 minutes? Finding ways to create a self care routine within your home is critical. Do you remember lockdown? That was a really hard time. It was a hard time for a lot of women who hadn't created sanctuary within their home, within their space that they come to. They were very busy. And you maybe just had not had the time to create that space within your home. But the lockdown during the pandemic really showed all of us that you really have to have a nice foundation at home, because in the event that you cannot leave your home, you need to make sure that you can find some peace. And so I highly recommend establishing your self-care routine, really building it with activities that you can do within your home, and that be the foundation to your self-care routine. Then of course, you can start adding on the activities that take place outside of your home as time goes on, but you'll always have that foundation of doing things within your home as well, which is very important. And mindset plays a big part in how much appreciation you have for your life and the types of activities you will value in your self-care routine. And so my daughter, she's 6 now, which means I have graduated out of a lot of motherhood challenges while also beginning some new ones. So when she was a baby, she had food sensitivities. So while I was nursing her, I couldn't have nuts, soy, dairy, eggs, and fish. And so that was very challenging. And there was an adjustment with that. And then when she started eating on her own, she was able to eat whatever she wanted. There was something going on with just when the milk was coming through me. Then we had potty training, which was its own fun time. Then daycare, which brought its own challenges. There was another adjustment in pre-K. Now she's in kindergarten. And she's just coming into her own. Things aren't really easier, but they are different. And she thinks she knows everything, even though she only knows some things. Her teeth are loose and she's making new friends. And we're keeping up with all the odd days that kindergarten assigns for students to wear green on this day, wear crazy socks on this day, be 100 years old for the 100th day of school. I don't know why we're doing it all. I'm sure there's a reason. We are very busy, and we're approaching spring, which means we'll have soccer on Mondays, dance on Tuesdays. We go and sit with my mom on Wednesdays. Thursdays, I will usually facilitate a workshop, and occasionally on Friday, I'll facilitate a workshop, and all that happens after work. So we try to push in as many, not push in, but we try to have as many family activities to enjoy as the three of us, and be able to stay in touch with our extended family as well. So life just gets crazy busy, and you're trying to keep up with household tasks. I'm trying to maintain a relationship, with my husband. Like, there are so many things that are important to us as working moms, and we are very complex. And really having that solid foundation becomes important as our to-do list continues to grow. The challenges of motherhood are not gone, they are just different, which means my self-care still has to be a priority, and so does yours. As I tell my clients, you have to learn which wellness points need your attention right now, and which activities can fit realistically in your lifestyle, and realistically for the sake of this episode means you want to do it and there's time to do it. The 5 wellness points that make us feel the most whole as mothers are social wellness, physical wellness, spiritual wellness, emotional wellness, and intellectual wellness. Social wellness is the ability to create, maintain, and promote good relationships with others. Physical wellness promotes proper care of our bodies for optimal health and functioning. Spiritual wellness is being connected to something greater than yourself. Emotional wellness is the ability to experience, manage, and express feelings appropriately. And intellectual wellness is recognizing your creative abilities and finding ways to expand knowledge and skills. I know that was a lot. So for a more descriptive breakdown of each, make sure you check out season 10. In season 10, I broke down each of those into their own dedicated episodes and talked about how they each impact your life, how they are defined, and what activities actually impact them. Once you do that, I want you to take advantage of the overall wellness quiz at backtoyouin5.com/quiz, because this quiz will help you determine which wellness point or which one of those wellness buckets, as I like to call them, needs the most attention. So back in 2020, when I started to prioritize my needs, I was very depleted in emotional wellness, as I mentioned earlier. So my activities mostly impacted my emotional wellness. So I did a lot of journaling. I spent a lot of time, like extra time in the shower just to decompress. And then I built on that over time. Over the past year, though, my focus has really been in more of social wellness. So really putting myself out there to connect with new people, meet new people, going to different events that are, some are designed for networking, other ones are not, but really just making conversations with people, nurturing the relationships I have with other people in my life who I've known for a while, and taking trips, like just different trips with my family to give our daughter more, why can't I think of the word? To help my daughter make more memories. My brain. To help my daughter make more memories, and just for my husband and I to have one-on-one time. So even while all that is the focus, I still have a fitness routine in the morning. I'm still doing journaling. I still schedule in my week which days I'm going to do which household tasks. I still keep a planner, and I'm very particular about how I have everything set up, and I track where I will be and where everybody else needs to be. But each year, as I grow, my self-care routine has to grow and expand as well. Your self-care routine needs to reflect the needs you have now. So, as you adjust your expectations around what self-care looks like for you, remember that it rarely looks like a weekend getaway or a spa day. Most time, self-care will look like using some of your lunch break to take a walk or to sit in nature. It will look like reading or listening to a book. Your self-care may look like journaling after meditation or yoga. All of your self-care activities may happen at home or at your workplace, and that is completely okay. I help primarily working moms manage their lives so that daily self-care can really happen for them. Not many of us have the time, budget, energy, and support to do luxurious or excessive self-care activities. Your self-care routine needs to be simple and sustainable. So, here's your homework assignment. 3 things I want you to take action on. Take the overall wellness quiz. It's free and quick and informative. And that's at backtoyouin5.com/quiz. Number 2, reframe your mindset around self-care. You need to appreciate the simple activities, like drinking your coffee while it's hot. Simple, impactful. Set your intentions before the day. Make sure that you are drinking water when you first wake up. Make sure you're prioritizing rest. Really think about what self care looks like for you and how you can fit it into the life you have now, the time you have now, the budget you have now, the support that you have now. And you're going to subscribe to the show, to what self care looks like, so you can continue to fill your arsenal with tools so that you can prioritize your needs, because that is the goal. So, thank you so much for listening and watching. So happy to have you here, and I will talk to you very, very soon.